Hi everyone, and welcome to another Soaring Solo Strategy Session. My name is Jessica Lynn Johnson, and I am the founder and CEO of Soaring Solo. And Soaring Solo is a company dedicated to the direction and development of one-person plays. So welcome to this experience. In today's strategy session, we're going to be focusing on how to get butts in seats. So how to get butts in seats, whether it's virtually, if you're doing an online show, or if we're talking about in-person gatherings. These things will apply to both types of endeavors with your one-person play. So the very first thing to consider before we put a single piece of marketing out there in the universe is the energy from which we are inviting people. The energy from which we are inviting people to see our one-person plays. So what I mean by that is when you're sending an invitation to someone to see your show, is there any desperation? Is there any feeling of guilt, like, oh God, I'm asking them to do me a favor, and we have this kind of ickiness around asking? If that's the energy that you have around your invite, people sense that, people feel that, and then the invite has that kind of energy around it, and it's probably not going to do very much in terms of getting people to come see your show. Or if they do show up to see the performance, it's probably not going to be great energy that they bring to it either, because they're going to feel like they're doing you a favor. They're going to feel like you're desperate, and they're not going to really want to be there and really enjoy it for the right reasons. So what we want to do instead is spend some time with ourselves asking, what is the gift that my show offers to the world? What is the gift that my show offers? What's the contribution that I am making as an artist? So if you don't know the answer to that, then that's the very first question you must answer before you do any marketing whatsoever and any inviting whatsoever. Because if you don't know the answer to that, how are you going to invite people and ask them to spend this time with you witnessing your solo show if you don't even know what it is that you're offering and why it has value? If you don't know the value of it, they certainly won't. So spend that time. And that could be things like, maybe your show is just really silly and funny. It's not a dramatic one-person show. It's just super funny. And maybe the gift is just that you're letting people escape the troubles and stresses of their life for an hour or 70 minutes and just laugh and have a good time. Maybe that's the gift you're offering. Maybe your show is all about political activism. And maybe the gift is you're informing people and calling people to action about an agenda that you're passionate about. Maybe the gift is edutainment. Maybe you're entertaining and educating people at the same time about any number of topics. Maybe the gift is simply that you are empowering your audience to feel brave, to be vulnerable, to share their stories, to step into their worthiness, because you lead by example by talking about difficult topics from stage and standing in your worth, knowing that you are worthy of sharing your story for an hour or 70 minutes, 80 minutes, 90 minutes, however long your solo show is. And maybe you're leading by example, and that's the gift. Just get really clear on what the gift is that you're offering. And then the energy from which you invite people is going to be so much better, so much richer, and the invitation is going to go so much further and really have great results. So that's the first thing. Then, of course, there's your marketing materials. Now, I won't go too in-depth into the actual marketing materials themselves, because that's a whole other video that I'll do a different day. But I will just say that you want to make sure you do have marketing materials that are clear, that have all of the pertinent information, and that are attention grabbing. So we want to have all the pertinent information, obviously, like the ticket link, the location, if it's online or if it's in person somewhere. We want to have the date. We want to have the contributors. Who's your director? Who's performing and writing it? Sometimes you're the playwright, but you're not the performer, or vice versa. So we want to have all of the team listed, and we want to have a really attention-grabbing graphic. So something that just really hones in on the themes of the show, it's provocative, and it grabs people's attention and doesn't just get lost in a sea of other graphics. So like I said, I will do a more in-depth video on that later, but right now I just want you to make sure you've got your graphic intact, and that is something that you have in terms of your marketing materials. You also want to make sure that you have a website or some sort of a landing page, whether that's a Facebook page or an Instagram page, something like that. But you want to have a place to send people who want to know a little bit more about what you do, what your show's about, who you are as a performer or a playwright or both, That's really important as well. So I would consider that your marketing materials. And as you're gathering your marketing materials, you might want to consider hiring a publicist, a graphic artist, building out your team to help you market as well, which again is a different video. I actually have another video all about building your team, so you can check that out as well. But you might not want to do this all by yourself. If you are gifted with graphics, there's wonderful programs like Canva. Canva is free. You can get a paid account, but I've actually used the free account for many, many things, and it's awesome. It really gives you a lot of tools to design graphics yourself. Also with your marketing materials, you're probably going to want action shots of you in performance. So if this is your world premiere and you don't have pictures from the actual show, you can either have your director take pictures of you when you're rehearsing, or you might pull some picture from a different production where you're performing by yourself, or you can at least crop the picture to be by yourself and use that. But we want action shots, things that we can really put out there in the world to show us in action as a performer. So that's another really great marketing material you can have. Teaser trailers are great as well. So if you've already been performing the show, really splicing together some of those key moments of your show can be really effective. Or again, if it's your world premiere and you haven't premiered it, then maybe you have your director record one of your rehearsals and you get key moments from that and you splice together a teaser trailer using that. So having video components is really important with our marketing materials as well. The next thing I want to point out is engaging early and often with our audiences. So too often I see solo performers the week before their show or maybe 2 weeks before their show, and all of a sudden they're all over social media, but you haven't heard from them for months before that. So we really want to make sure that we're not just engaging with our audience a couple of weeks or a couple of days before our solo show. I know how that makes me feel when I receive that. It makes me feel like I'm being kind of used, like, oh, you don't want to talk to me any other time. You don't have anything else to talk about except for right before your show. Now all of a sudden I'm valuable and you want me to come see it. So that doesn't usually leave the best impression with our audiences. We want to be engaged with them as a community far beyond the date of our show or just a couple of weeks out. So what does that look like? How do you engage with them? I would say it starts as soon as your creative process starts, as soon as you're writing the show, when you're going to rehearsals, when you're scouting venues or online platforms, when you're rehearsing with your director or in a writing session by yourself, whatever it is that you're doing that's part of your process, picking out wardrobe, you can document all of that. You can do little posts about that and be vulnerable. You know, don't try to be perfect in it. Be vulnerable. Talk about what your fears are. Talk about what your successes and failures are along the way. Really engage your community. And when you do that, pay attention to who's responding, who's liking your post, who's responding and commenting, and make sure that you're engaging right back with them. And go even a step further. Go to their pages, see what they're up to, support them. Be the kind of audience and community member that you want others to be for you. Don't just expect that you're going to have a swarm of people show up at your show when you've not been present for anybody else's artistic work. So be active in the community that you're in and show other people that you care about what they're doing and the art that they're creating as well. And then more often than not, people are going to return the favor. We also want to consider various types of posting. So again, a mistake that I see people make a lot is they will just post their graphic of their show over and over and over again with the ticket link. Yes, we do want to get our graphic in front of people often, and we want them to associate that graphic with us as a performer. That's important. I think they say it's something like 7 times it takes the average person to see something before they invest in it or before they really pay attention and it sticks in the memory. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that repetition, but you want to spread it out, and you definitely don't want it to be the only thing that you're posting. So some other ideas for things that you could post to keep it interesting and things that are of contribution would be articles. You could post an article or a blog that you found somewhere that has to do with the themes of your show. So let's say your show deals with sexual trauma. You might post a resource, an article that somebody wrote about healing trauma, and post that on your page and give those resources, and then saying, hey, by the way, I'm really passionate about this topic. In fact, I'm doing a show about it, and here's the link, and here's the date and the other information. So that way you're contributing something. You're part of a conversation. You're making an offering. You're not just posting your show graphic, but you're giving something to your community. You might also post a quote by someone that you really admire, whether that's a celebrity or a spiritual leader or someone in your social circle that gives you their permission to post a quote. Something like that. You could post a quote that, again, is on the themes of your show, talking about the types of things you're talking about, and just start a discussion about what that post, about what that quote means to you and what it inspires in you and what it has to do with your show. So again, you're catching people's attention from a different vantage point. You're bringing them in through different things other than just your show graphic. And that could be even videos or things like that. So whether those are videos of other people that relate, again, to the topic of your show. I often encourage my clients to make character videos. So if you have characters in your show, you can have them make invites, or you can have them give tips and tricks and do little Facebook Lives or YouTube videos or things like that. So again, it's really just thinking outside of the box of how do we bring value to our community and grab their attention from different angles and not always the same approach. You also want to be thinking about various platforms and various modes of communication to get across the fact that you're doing a solo show. So you might send personal text messages, you might do an email blast or do a tweet, you might post on Instagram or Facebook, you might be on TikTok, whatever the platform is, or Vimeo or YouTube or anything that you use. Really vary the different platforms that you use, because you're going to attract different audience members based on the different platforms. Some people are on Twitter all the time. Some people are on Instagram all the time. Some people are on Facebook all the time. So the more you vary your approach, the broader your audience is going to be. And I'll say also, like if you're on Facebook frequently, there's so many groups on Facebook. So look for groups that have to do, again, with the themes of your show, where you know you're making a contribution to those groups by those people seeing your show. So post in those groups as well. And again, I'm not just talking about posting only your flyer, but posting articles and other resources that are of service and engage with the people in that group. So again, consider using all the different platforms that are out there. There's so many these days. There's also 3 basic types of reach outs that you must do. You must do these. And this is the bare minimum, but they have to be done. So first of all, we want to save the date. A save the date, I would say you usually want to do about a month out from your performance. So you're just letting everybody know, here's the date of the show. And you get the date, the time, and the ticket link. A lot of times people are slow to move on a save the date, but at least they might mark their calendars or something like that. They might not buy a ticket, but at least they're aware of it. The next that you want to do is, okay, we're 2 weeks out or we're 1 week away. So 1 to 2 weeks out, you want to do another post to let them know, hey, it's coming up. It's just a friendly reminder that it's coming up. And you might want to incorporate an early bird special in this as well, where you give $5 off or $8 off or something like that for tickets purchased before a certain date and time. So that's going to inspire some urgency with your ticket purchasers, which is really, really important. The next that you want to do is the day of. It's the day of the show, y'all, and I'm reminding you that today is the day. It's happening tonight, or it's happening at this afternoon, the matinee, whatever it is. You want to remind them the day of, because a lot of times people forget, even if they bought a ticket, or they're last minute, they're procrastinators, whatever the case may be. And so just reminding them the day of, you'll get those last minute people who maybe didn't purchase a ticket yet, but now you caught their attention and they're going to. So always do a day of post as well. And in all of these posts, always include all of the information. You have the ticket link, you have the graphic, you have the day, the time, the where, the when, all of that stuff. We want to make sure that we have all of the information easily accessible, because your audience isn't going to want to go hunting for it. So make it as easy as possible, an easy link to click on that's right there for them. Don't make them do hard labor to get a ticket to your show, or it's going to really hurt your sales. So those are some tips and some strategies for getting butts in seats, whether that's virtually or in person. I hope that this has really helped you, and please certainly post your comments below if you have any ideas for marketing. You can reach out to me with further questions, or if you want to get a really deep dive session where you and I look at your show and figure out a great marketing strategy for you personally, feel free to email me at soringsoloartist@gmail.com, and we can put our brains together and come up with a great marketing plan for you and your show to ensure that you have a great turnout, because you deserve it. And if you'd like to find out more information about what Soaring Solo Studios is up to, just visit my website at soaringsolostudios.com. Thank you all so much and have a beautiful day.